Hello, everyone. I am Fabian with ChristosAvatar.com, and we will be continuing our Secret Mysteries of Ascension, Atlantis, and Egypt, the playlist series. And this is part 8. And today we'll be talking about the rod and staff, about the frequency fence and the galactic quarantine, or for our planet and race. It was following this great flood, the deluge, and the Syrian Council placed further security seals on the Ark of the Covenant portal, which no longer permitted this great energy, interdimensional energy to be drawn from that blue flame in order to charge objects, with UHF fifth dimensional frequency. So, but excuse me, we do have this two objects that were charged prior to this sealing. So at least the Egyptian cultures would have some tool, through which the inner Earth portals could be opened. So they needed something, and they devised these two items, and one object became known as the rod. Now it was a small, cylindric object, flat on one side and made of gold. So now this was special, and it housed you would say a small portion of the orange gold flame morphogenetic field of the Earth's D2 core. So each planetary core, like Earth, Tara, Gaia, Armatena, each level has a core and has a different color. So this orange gold flame is the one for Earth's D2 core. And so this was, each density, it's composed of 3 dimensions. So it's the combination of frequency patterns of dimension 1, 2, and 3. So now this other object, it was called the staff, like the staff of Mente, so this is some reference in the Bible, in the staff of God, right? So of the rod and the staff. So there's a reference there, and it was also made of gold, this item, just like the rod. So it was about 3 feet long, and it had several crystalline structure stones, which housed a minute portion of that blue flame morphogenetic field, of Tara's D5 core. So we talk about that, and this blue flame staff of Amente, as it's called, it was composed of, it's the next level, the next chakra, the next density. So that's composed of the frequency patterns of dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so that's half our DNA right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excuse me. Excuse me. And this allowed, Tara's morphogenetic field to link with the even higher, the double flame at Gaia's core, and the violet and pale gold flames that would allow Gaia, with the white gold flame of the metagalactic core. So this is a series, of developing energies, and so when we speak of the colored flames, we are referring to multiple bands of frequency of which morphogenetic fields are composed. So colors represent spectra of light, and light represents, you see light, it's the manifestation of patterns of dimensionalized electrotonal frequency. So that's what you're seeing, and through linking the frequency bands, the spectrum, dimension 1 through 7 within the morphogenetic field, a planet or a person can ascend, evolve out of matter-based systems and into pure sentient consciousness. So we have this process. It's an energetic process. We are energy beings in an energy universe. We are spirits having a human experience. We just live at many different levels at the same time, and sometimes if you're psychic, you can connect to some of those. Connect to some of those other aspects to you. You think it's outside yourself. It's not outside yourself. It's another part of yourself in another location of time space, another time vector. So these are your other incarnations, reincarnations. That was what we're doing here. So this is part of, whether it's good or bad, part of our natural evolutionary process. This is what we will eventually achieve. So the blue flame staff of Amenti represents the key to evolution of Earth and the human lineage, and one of the keys to the evolution of the planets in our solar system, and Tara and Gaia. So through these objects, they didn't have the power of the Ankhs, but they enabled still, humans to enter the inner Earth portals. And actually, not just this power, this energy still could be used to facilitate healing, actually to influence weather patterns, and to access the portals to actually parallel Earth, not inner Earth, but parallel Earth, which is the antiparticle universe of our particle universe. Automatically, if you're a universe, you're going to have an anti version of that, and that's what that is. And so there's a portal there. And the objects were stored within like a lead-lined chest that was energetically charged, like protected with the frequency barrier, so the energies of the rod and staff could not escape while these objects were in storage. So the rod and staff and the Ankhs were placed in the custody of the good races, the light races, like the Anu Melchizedeks from the inner Earth. And so, and as a matter of fact, that's where they would started to store them. They keep them from the surface races, the surface people. They were dangerous, were not responsible, or whatever, So, they were placed in the custody of the, in inner Earth. So, and they were banned from being used by our surface cultures. And for a time, the rod and staff were used by the Egyptians, who rebuilt the surface cultures. But later they were also banned from surface use and deactivated. So, maybe you may not understand it, but eventually maybe you will when you start connecting to these advanced races through your consciousness, through your ascension, through your development. You will start to realize that they're benefiting you, they're helping you, they're assisting you, protecting, healing, all kinds of things. So through time, this chest in which the rod and staff were stored became known as the Ark of the Covenant. Again, something else erroneously called the Ark of the Covenant, but the true meaning of the Ark of the Covenant and the morphogenic flames of the D2 rod and the D5 staff, orange, gold, and the blue, green, or balloon. And so it became lost to just a few select who remembered the true significance of these terms. And so now this is the rod and staff, but the most, treacherous problem created by this Atlantean misadventure was the original seal on the Ark of the Covenant, which kept the sphere of Amenti in place within the Andromeda Galaxy core. Well, it was sparked open, Remember this big E-impulse transmission from the Great Crystal? So that was a side effect. This caused the sphere of Amenti to begin its descent to the Earth, like prematurely. So now this is coming in with high dimensional energies. Understand? It's coming from the density 2. It's made of density 2 energy, and it's going to come into our world at the wrong time. So that's not good. So this sphere of Amenti could be entered, only be entered into the Earth core if the Earth grid vibrated high enough within it, which is, remember, is connected to our consciousness and activity, at least 8% of us. And well, anyways, this can only happen only during the sphere thing. It can only happen during, like, it's called dimensional blending periods. And I talk about the ascension periods in the different points of that event. So, but these are inherent periods in the Earth's natural time cycles. So the descent of the sphere of Amenti from the Andromeda galaxy, it does take time. It would take 2,000 years. But not only was the Earth grid, will it be by that time unprepared, to house those energies? We can't. That's too much energy. No, So but the timing, of the entry would be completely out of synchronization with Earth's natural cycles. So, I mean, there's a lot to consider here, but we're getting the basics understanding of it. And having been released, into the Ark of the Covenant portal bridge in 9558 BC, the sphere of Amenti would intercept Earth sometime, in 755 BC. It would not arrive in time for the dimensional blend period that would happen in 9048 BC, and would arrive before the next dimensional blend period in 6835 BC. So it's not going to come at any good point. This is not good. Something else, wow, now we have to worry about the sphere again. So now if the sphere of Amenti, well, if it attempted to enter Earth's three-dimensional lower body, it's like trying to take some giant surge of energy and put it into some of these household lines. So it's like, it would be like during a time period when Earth's fourth dimensional vortices were not open, the sphere would explode upon impact, with there's actually what's called a natural frequency barrier that separates the third and fourth dimension. And if you look at my time matrix diagram, you will see between each density there's a line, a dark line, and it's actually an electromagnetic barrier. So it's a barrier, some type of energy barrier called a magnetic repulsion zone. They created, separation between density universes. So there is a magnetic repulsion zone between each of the 5 densities that create like surges of energies that repel, push away from each other, because of the relationship between electrical and magnetic charges. Just like you can do that with the ends of a magnet. If you put the same, 2 electrically charged ends together, well, they push away from each other. And you get this effect, you feel this energy, this pushing away. It's energy. You don't see it, but you feel it. It's there in some form. So, and that's what these magnetic repulsion zones are. Nothing can get through the natural barrier, so you can't go through the natural barrier, but you will have to use a portal or a stargate to get through dimensions. So, to get through the barrier, there are, like I said, there are things called seals and crystal seals that need to be released, and kind of like valves and signets, and you're controlling energy in your body, in the planet. We're canaling it, we're directing it through seals, and these are part of our mechanics as well. We're learning how to master energy, holy ones. So they need to be. It's like be able to be open and closed naturally. Obviously, we don't want the sphere of Amenti to explode, because of this natural barrier, magnetic repulsion zone. Because an astral explosion, that's where it's at in the astral, right? So that would cause the Earth's fourth, vortex, heart chakra, to collapse, which is an even worse problem because it would systematically create a buildup of energy throughout the remaining, vortice chakras, and the Earth grid would explode. So, when you're putting together networks, or you're planning out a stereo system or a TV system, entertainment system, you plan all the cables, how everything's connected. You can't have too much energy, or you have to support enough energy and you start putting in too much energy, you gotta respect this power, what you can do, what you can't do. So if the sphere passed through this astral plane into the frequency bands of the third dimension, that would reduce the Earth to space dust. There goes Earth and everything that exists on it. Okay. So, well, in order to avert this pending Earth cataclysm, the Raw Confederacy, the Paladorian, and the Syrian Councils, Elohim, and several other guardian groups devised a plan. They jumped on it, let's take care of this dire straits, which the Earth could be, spared this premature demise. And so this is like plan was put into effect in 9540 BC. I like my lapis here. So now the Elohim were commissioned to alter the Earth's D2 morphogenetic field in a way that would create, but this is the name of the video, it would create a natural frequency fence, also called, the Amenti frequency fence. So, this is an energetic barrier, and we're trying to get that, something to resolve this sophisticated planetary issue or sphere issue or dimensional issue, so it would be making it unable to pass. That's what we're trying to do. That is the main purpose of the Amenti frequency fence. So, we're trying to stop some terrible thing from happening, but at the same time, while we're putting in this frequency fence, we're also going to have to endure a bunch of problems because of it. It's like you taking medicine to take care of a problem, but the medicine causes other problems, something like this. So, and so certain sub-frequency patterns were removed from the Earth's morphogenetic field, so, and so the fourth and dimensional frequencies can no longer plug into the Earth's three-dimensional body. The 7th through the 12th base tones, remember from the previous video that base tones are the particle universe side of the DNA. And the 7th through the 9th overtones on the particle, universe side of the DNA. And I talk about this DNA and in the original Trinesium video, because you have to understand the DNA to understand ascension. Ascension has to do with DNA, strands of DNA, and which one specifically that you have. You want this one all the way up to at least 5. All humans need to get to 5, 5th chakra. That's where we're at in this program. Okay, we're the Aryan race developing the 4th strand, but we also need the 5th strand. We need this futuristic chakra done because of the problems in our DNA. So, now, it's like they were taken out of this dimensional frequency bands that were also taken out of the Earth's morphogenetic field, So, this is another side effect of this problem. Without these sub-frequencies, the D4 frequency bands could not connect to the Earth's D3 body. So the sphere of Amenti would be halted, within the lower frequency bands of the 4th dimension. And so this would be its temporary storage location, as the path of frequency through which it would descend into the 3rd dimension was severed. So it's like this is so far a safe thing. We wanted to make sure we still need to somehow get it into the 3rd dimension. We need to get it into this 1st density. So that's how you connect to your souls. Our souls has to do with the sphere of Amenti. And if it's not in the right place, our souls can be disconnected from our ascension process. Understand? So the sphere would remain in the D4 astral plane until those D3 sub-frequencies were re-entered into the Earth's morphogenetic field. But however, without those frequencies, this is the problem. The Earth would not be able to pull those specific tones into its planetary grid, so Earth itself would be halted, the other direction, not the sphere coming into our density, but we're talking about the Earth trying to get out of its density. It was stuck in the tracks of time within the middle frequency bands of the third dimension. So you were trying to get to the fourth dimension. It's stuck in the third dimension without being able to ascend into Tara. So, okay, so through this protective measure by the Guardians, it was necessary at the time, but it also stunted the planet's ability to evolve naturally out of density 1. So, now we're coming to an end, or we're coming closer to the conclusion of this, because this has been a long explanation in different parts, but you're learning this knowledge you're not going to find anywhere else. And the Guardians intended, right? They didn't just do it, but without intending to release it. They intend to release the sphere of, the Amenti frequency fence during an appropriate time cycle. Once the Earth grid, when it will be rebalanced and its vibrational rate had increased enough to accept the rapid return of the sphere of Amenti. It has to be done at a certain time. Remember, it was coming at the wrong time because it was released because of the impulse. Then the Guardians had to slow it down or get it stuck in a temporary storage place. So that's what this is. And so we can still ascend. It needs to be in the same density as us. Right now it's not. I mean, during this time. So there was certain advantages and several drawbacks to this Amenti frequency fence plan. The first disadvantage of the Amenti frequency fence was that the natural portal structures, which allowed for like interstellar visits, interstellar transit into Earth, it would be cut off from this interdimensional highway, interdimensional grid. Interstellar visitors, well, they could not easily enter into the Earth's surface now in the frequency bands that were below the frequency fence. So they're trying to get, that's what the frequency fence does. So now, so smaller, more like adaptable vessels, spacecraft were needed, to orchestrate visitation now. It wasn't like normal or easy like before, so it did so with the risk of like anyone coming in, it would be a risk of disrupting the frequency fence. So this, which could release the sphere of Amenti from its storage place. So the Elohim, the high-level Elohim, were put in charge of monitoring and protecting the frequency fence. And the Guardian organizations agreed that interstellar visitation to Earth would be strictly limited to emergency intervention. So, like I said, we think we have a lot of visits. We really don't, you guys. We would have a ton of visits and it would be so crazy. But now the frequency fence, there's some type of limits now. So the Guardians adopted like a policy of like non-interference with the earthly affairs. That's what they're trying to do. Obviously, they haven't stopped all the aliens or races coming in, but a majority of them are being stopped. So, but we're still getting some effects of some of these beings, right? So it continued, they wanted to at least continue to hold on the Amenti frequency fence in place to preserve the integrity of the planet. Has not so great for us, but they had to protect this planet and the sphere. So it was decided that the humans, would be allowed to orchestrate their own affairs on Earth, with the kind of like the Guardians attending to like the issues of evolutionary ascension from behind the scenes. Some of us can connect to those beings because if we have those DNA, we have those connections activated. So but most of the planet doesn't. So, but because the sphere of Amenti was now in a location more vulnerable to like resistance to attack again, extremely high security measures were taken to ensure that no one disrupted the sphere or breached the Amenti frequency fence, without Guardian approval. So It had to take a lot of care, a lot of planning, and high technology understanding to do this. That's why these advanced races are involved in this. And you realize this? Most humans don't even know this is happening, or has happened, or will happen. It's like, so it's only some of you who are receiving this information. Okay? So now, in the beginning, this fortification of the fence was intended for security purposes, right? But later, it was used like an opportunity for the Elohim to start extending favoritism, like to those humans just carrying the genetic strains more closely connected to their own, like, morphogenetic imprint. You know, just races like them or their origins. You know, this gave an unfair, like, evolutionary advantage to some humans, you know, such as the Ceres Egyptians and those of the Hibiru starseed. They had because, you know, they had a stronger genetic ties to the Elohim, you know, compared to, like, you know, many of the other races. So, like, you could say the overall effect of the frequency fence and the security tactics used to enforce it, you know, was that the the physical Earth and its peoples were basically put under galactic quarantine. You know, we had all this incoming traffic, now we don't. We had this contact, communication, sharing, now we don't. You know, it's like losing all direct assistance from and relationship to the multidimensional intergalactic communities. So it's because of this galactic quarantine, like, information that traveled through the 11th and 12th subfrequency bands of the higher dimensions, well, they would no longer transmit. So, you know, into the Earth's grid, or, you know, and cellular memory. We're cut off from our memory. You know, some of us have great memory of these future lives, past lives. Some don't have any memory, no connections to any psychic energies, spiritual energies. So, you know, it's been a huge crutch now, a huge handicap put on us. This is what we're trying to say. So not only would the race memory from the, well, sphere of Amenti be unavailable to humans upon the planet, but also these interdimensional communications that we're used to, that we had plenty of. It's not even about proof. You didn't need proof because they're there. It's there. It's part of our reality. But not now. You know, well, not under this condition. You know, from these higher dimensional fields, it just was curtailed. You know, as higher frequency transmissions cannot pass through this frequency fence. That was the design. So, as generations of our races evolved beneath this Amenti frequency fence, well, previous memory. Do you remember, Holy Ones? Do you remember this intergalactic civilization? Do you remember these races, these agendas, these lives? You know, many of our generations are under this frequency fence. So, but previous memory of humanity's involvement with and genetic relationship to extraterrestrial, you know, civilizations just faded, you know, over time, by plan, by agenda, and the, you know, advantages of technological advancement. Those relationships, you know, that were allowed before were lost, gone, you know. So, wow. You know, what kind of world is that now? So, and that is the awareness of most people today in the world. This is normal to them. AETs, UFOs, that's crazy talk. That's nonsense. That's some spiritual BS. No, honey. A lot of people simply do not believe in aliens and other worlds or highly evolved extraterrestrial civilizations. So, you guys, in today's video, in this series of videos about this, you know, mysteries of ascension and Egypt and Atlantis, we have talked a lot about the events that have transpired during our current third seeding of the Turanesium angelic human race. Remember what you're part of. Now you are remembering what you're part of, re-remembering, realizing. There are a few more events and topics to discuss during this period, but those will be, reserved for other videos. Now it's really important that I'm wrapping up here, guys. This ascension talk, at least this video, that, to realize that within our current time period, particularly within the next few years, or even, our ancient past, our very ancient past, our future, and our present are like coming together into like full circle. It's a meeting point. And what happens in this period of time is literally going to change the course of human evolution, literally, to one direction or another. There's one choice or another choice. Which choices are you making? So there's going to be several directions, and groups of people, will be going into each of these directions by understanding the basic framework of these things. Each of you, we will have the ability to decide consciously. You decide. What will you decide? Which path, do we want to be on? Because there's basically 3 agendas running here. Now, we talked about the races. We talked about the different DNA, the good, positive beings, the negative beings. There's the agendas of beings, some of them human, in human form, some of them ETs from other places that want to see humans actually evolve back to their angelic heritage. Some of them do. Some of them are relying on it. And the Turanesium and this human 12-strand DNA pattern, it gives us the ability to not have to die physically. Okay? We are immortal at that level. So, and I talk about that when I was talking about the DNA in the Turanesium video. So, angelic humans have the ability to ascend, to transmute matter density progressively through the densities. See, now you know what densities are. You know what dimensions are. You know what stargates are. We're talking about these things. Okay? And we want to go through those densities, go up them, turn them ourselves back into pure waveform eventually. Your consciousness will be at that level. You don't lose, and you don't want to lose, actually, your sentience, right? You don't want to go into space dust and lose that inner, awareness. It's a progression. We want to go into expansion of identity. That is the ideal way to evolve out of time. Okay? There is an objective to evolution. And we are talking about spiritual evolution, being evolution, energy evolution. So this hologram of matter has a purpose, a polarity. It automatically assumes, mostly you will understand it as being conflict, as being challenging. So that is, it's a continual expansion. And you can expand, and then you can get to a point where you contract, and then you expand back out into the wholeness of all that is. Some people call it God. Some people call it Allah. Some people call it all sorts of things. It doesn't matter what you call it. So it's a massive collective of consciousness. All right? And we are part of that. Part of, and we all take place within. So now you have to decide, holy ones. You will, or maybe you won't decide. The path you will find yourself on will be determined by your choices now. We're talking ascension. We're teaching ascension. Learn about ascension. So the key to ascending to inner earth, or Tara, is bodily transmutation, which is achieved through the rapid assembly and activation of DNA strands and the awakening of dormant gene codes. DNA evolution, well, it can be accelerated by consciously using some of these techniques we're talking about, Holy Ones. You know, we talk about the Maharic Shield. We talk about these multi-phase currents. We talk about running currents, evolving our chakras, and you know, DNA evolution can be accelerated. So we are using these bioenergetic chakra systems to activate the dormant, what you call star crystal seals. Like we were talking about, the planet has seals, we have seals, we learn how to use them within the human body auric field. These hidden morphogenetic fields control the operation, you know, of the DNA. And you want to activate those. When activated, you know, it allows for transmutation of cellular structure from one space-time station to others through the portals, through your DNA. You understand? Earth's, you know, it happens. It's a cycle. Earth's transmutative stellar activation period, also called an ascension period, will allow humanity the opportunity to speed this process up. It doesn't mean you're only limited to doing ascension in an ascension period. It just is a better time, a faster, easier time. I mean, we have challenges. It's not really easy for us, but in general, it's a Stargate opening cycle, a transmutative cycle. So it will allow humans the opportunity to do this quickly, and through which, you know, transmutative self-evacuation, evacuate, get out of here from the descending earth. Okay, you can do this. It can be achieved. You have free will to choose what future you will see within the greater framework of Earth's evolutionary course. I love you, Holy Ones. It's been an honor. I love you. This is a gift to be part of this. You are part of this, Holy Ones. This is our heritage. This is our majesty. We are these mighty beings. You can reclaim your DNA. You will ascend. Will you not? Please like this video. This information is precious. It is vital. It's hard to find. It's truth. It's light. It's love. Please support this information, this Stargate. Help us. And your donations, your assistance, your kind words, your love, you are part of this. You're part of these families that we have talked about in great detail. I love you. Take care of yourself. Please like my video. Please subscribe to this channel. And love yourself. Learn to love others. And you exercise this chakra. Exercise and train this chakra. See you on the next videos. Take care. See you soon. And namaste. I see the divine inside of you. Thank you.